Yo, what's going on guys? Z-Karma here and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 build video. Today, I bring you guys a very different build. This is my Mayhem 4 Amara Corrosive build. Now, this is basically an update to my Mayhem 3 version, but this is going to help you out more in Mayhem 4. The reason why I bring this build up is because a Handsome Jackpot DLC, there's a lot of enemies with armor, and this build is definitely very fun to use there. Just to be clear, this is not a build that I recommend you take to the Maliwan's takedown, but for everything else Mayhem 4 related, it pretty much does a very good job. So anyways, before we get into this build, I want to let you guys know that YouTube told me that 97% of people that watch my videos are not currently subscribed. So if you enjoy this content, please help me out by hitting that like button. And if you want to subscribe to help me change that proportion, that would be very much appreciated. So anyways, let's just get right into the build. So normally I like to start off with the skill tree and then go on with the weapons and equipment. But today we're going to start off at the weapons and equipment. The reason is because I want to touch on this first. The artifact that you need for this build to work the best is the Flesh Melter Victory Rush. Now this artifact gives you corrosive damage boost of 25%. You can stack this 5 times and the duration is 8.8 seconds. The way you get stacks is by killing enemies with corrosive. So if you can kill 5 within these 8.8 seconds, you can get up to 125% extra corrosive damage. And you also want to make sure you get the Victory Rush variant, as this gives you 18% movement speed and damage for 60 seconds after killing a badass. So as long as you keep killing badasses within 60 seconds, you can keep that 18% movement speed and damage. Now for the class mod that I recommend Phaserker. The reason is because this is just going to give you more damage basically. On action skill use, you gain your max rush stack count and they decay over time. You get 2% weapon damage for each rush stack. Now with this build, the max rush stack count is going to be 15. So that's going to give you a 30% bonus weapon damage after using your action skill. Now for the shield and the grenade, doesn't matter what you take as long as they have these anointments. On action skill N, gain 50% bonus radiation damage with weapons for 10 seconds. Now I have radiation on my shield and extra shock damage on my grenade. The ones I recommend you take is incendiary and shock, or shock and corrosive. Any of those two combinations would be great because basically in the Handsome Jackpot, which is why I'm showing you this build, sometimes you run into DOV and they don't have armor or anything that corrosive damage could just destroy. So having this extra 50% incendiary and shock can really come in handy. Now let's look at the weapons. For the weapons, I have a Kipsworth, a Redistributor, an Iron Cannon, and a Dictator. This one has increased weapon damage by 1% per hit. The Iron Cannon has extra splash damage after action skill end, and the Dictator has extra critical hit damage after action skill end. Now I just want to point this out that you can literally take any weapons you want. There's better weapons out there like the Cutsman, the Skexel, the Linoge, all of them corrosive you can take. You can even take weapons that are not corrosive. Just keep in mind that in order for the Flesh Melter Victory Rush to be stacking the damage, you do need to get kills with corrosive. Anyways, now that we got all of this out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the build. So first off, we're going to start off on the red tree, and you want to get 5 points into Anima. Anima is basically going to give your status effect increased damage over time and have increased duration. So essentially, you're just going to be doing more dot damage. Then you want to put 5 points into Tempest. This is going to increase your elemental damage with any element. If you're using corrosive, you're going to get 30% extra corrosive damage. If you're using shock, you'll get an extra 20% apart from that 30% increase. Next up, you want to put 1 point into Dread. This is going to give you extra gun damage when you grasp an enemy, and we are going to be using Ties That Bind. So every time you grab an enemy, you'll gain an increase of 15% in gun damage. Next up, you want to get down here, so you just want to spend 4 points. Don't put them into Infusion. I just like to go Steady Hands and Wildfire. Then you want to put 1 point into Deep Well. This is going to increase the magazine size of elemental weapons, which is always great because you're going to be reloading less. Then you want to put 3 points into indiscriminate. This is just going to add a ricochet chance. And you may not notice it, but this really helps a lot. You shoot an enemy, other enemies are getting shot at without you even aiming at them, and you just basically kill everything. Then you need to get down here, so spend another point. I just like to put another one into wildfire. And then max out sustainment. This is lifesteal. So whenever you do elemental damage with your weapon, you gain 20% of that back. And finally, 1 point into forceful expression. This is going to deal bonus elemental damage based on your action skill element. So whatever amount of damage you do, you're going to get an extra 18% damage as your action skill element. And for the action skill element, we're actually going to be using corrosion because this is a corrosive build. So to get here, you need to spend 5 points. You want to get personal space. The closer you are to our target, the more damage you're going to be doing. And then 2 points into clarity. That will get you all the way down here, and you go ahead and pick it. For your action skill, make sure to pick Ties That Bind. Now for the blue tree, you want to put 5 points into do harm, because we are using Ties That Bind, and believe it or not, this works with Ties That Bind. So whatever damage is shared by the links of Ties That Bind is increased with do harm. Then you want to put 3 points into Transcend. This is going to increase your critical hit damage after using your action skill. So whenever you're holding a target in place and you shoot their head, you're going to be doing more damage. Then you want to max out Restless so you can use your action skill more often. And then you want to get down here to get to Wrath. You need 2 points for this, so you can spend them wherever you like. If you want to get Ascendant, go for it. If you want to get Violent Tapestry, Fast Hands, I like to put 1 point into Alacrity and 1 point into Fast Hands for that quick switch of weapons. And then finally, last 2 points go into Wrath. This is just going to increase your damage overall by 13.3%, and then you get an additional 13.3% after you use your action skill. Now for your action skill augment, you can use either Stillness of Mind or Allure. It's completely up to you. I like to use Stillness of Mind. And that's it. That's a build. I basically use this for the Handsome Jackpot DLC. It's very fun running around killing all these loader bots with this build. It's incredible. Like I said, the weapons that I'm using in the gameplay, you don't necessarily need this. I'm pretty sure there's better weapons out there like a Cutsman or a Linoge or a Skexel. Even with like 100% extra damage after action skill end, that's perfect anointments for this. And I do want to point out that I was working on this build all day. I'm telling you, all day yesterday and all day today, because I was trying all kinds of different combinations. I tried focusing on the Mystical Assault tree to get all the way down to Avatar and see if that did more damage. And yes, I did do more damage, but I was only doing more damage after I used my action skill. My base damage was higher with this build that I'm using right now. So after just playing with both builds here and there, I noticed that this one was more consistent with dealing with enemies of other damage types. And there was also another build I was trying that was doing way more base damage and more damage in general. But the only problem with that is that I was sacrificing sustainment points, so I did not have any lifesteal. And to be honest, especially on Mayhem 4, you need lifesteal to stay alive. Otherwise, you can't really do anything. I mean, I guess you could take Soul Sap, which is an action skill augment that lifesteals for you. And I did use it for a bit, but that was not enough to keep me alive. My favorite part about this build is using Ties That Bind to grasp a target. And all those links are going to be sharing damage, right? So what I do is I use an ion cannon to shoot the grasped target a critical hit, and literally everything around him dies, which is absolutely incredible. Definitely my favorite part of this build. And just for anyone that's wondering, yes, this does very well against enemies with shields, with flesh, with armor, with anything, thanks to those stacks that you get once you kill an enemy with corrosive, and also thanks to all the bonuses that we have from our shield and our grenade and forceful expression and things like that. So no need to worry about fighting enemies that aren't weak against corrosive. And like I said at the start of the video, this is not a build that I recommend for the Maliwan's takedown, so I'll be leaving a link in the description to my build that I recommend for the Maliwan's takedown if you want to check it out. This build is more so that you can try something different. You know, a corrosive build, it's pretty decent. I have a lot of fun using it, and I never run into any trouble with it. So yeah guys, that's basically going to end the video for today. If you found it helpful or informative in any way, please help me out by dropping a like on this video. And if you want to subscribe for more, that would be great as well. With that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.